Well, hello there. Welcome to Online People Talking, or OPT as we like to call it. This series is dedicated to enhancing the careers and lives of the new home online sales specialist. Real life stories and challenges and solutions just for you, just for you. Award season is coming to a close, and we have one of the biggest winners of the year, Chantee Brown. Shantae won the Online Sales Counselor of the Year by the National Sales and Marketing Council, and she was the 2020 winner in Las Vegas. She just received her award. She's going to talk about this and about her role, but prior to joining MI Homes, she had never worked in the online sales role before for a home builder. But within a year and a half, she took her division's online sales metrics from last place in the company to first place, and she has maintained that position ever since. So you can see why we're so excited to talk with her today. We'll talk about how she set herself up for success and with systems and processes. So Shantae, welcome to Online People Talking. We are so happy to have you.
Thank you, Jen. Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah. So before we kind of get into why you're so successful, tell us a little bit about, where in the world you are, what kind of market you serve, builder you work for, that kind of thing.
So we are MI Homes in Dallas, Texas. We specialize in new homes from the 230s to the mid 500 range. We are currently in 17 communities here in the DFW area. And our focus is building homes for families who believe in our founder's mantra, always treating the customer right.
That is so important. Mm-hmm. That treating your customers right makes or breaks. I mean, that is a deal breaker when they have a bad customer service experience, for sure. So you've been in the role a year and a half, right? Is that
almost 2 years?
Almost 2 years now. Okay. And do you have a team, or is it just you solo?
When I first started, it was just me, and I had one day a week off, and I did have backup help that one day. And then toward the end of last year, and then particularly coming into this year, we have cross-trained several of our team members. So I do get 2 days off a week now. Okay. And I'm a mom. I have 4 children. My oldest.
Hold on a second. 4 children.
I do.
Okay, talk about your kids real quick.
So my oldest daughter is married and has a baby of her own.
No way.
Yes. And then I have a daughter who's away at college, and she wants to talk to me every single day for at least an hour if she can. And then I have 2 in high school. So even though my kids are older, they still need and want their mom. And
oh my gosh.
It's really a gift that they want my time and attention. So I do try to step away from my work.
So tell me, how many homes did MI sell last year in your division?
We sold 500 homes last year.
Wow. So pretty big builder in your market. Mm-hmm. And how many leads would you say on a monthly basis do you average? Because you said you do have a backup, but you solely, how many leads are you managing?
Between 375 and 400 per month.
Wow. Oh my gosh. Okay. So that is quite a bit.
It is, yeah.
And how many appointments are you setting from those?
We set a combined, last year we had about between 1150 and 1200. So we average about 90 to 100 appointments per month.
Okay. And so when you looked at your year-end conversions, where are you at as far as like lead to appointment? I always like to ask this question just so people out there watching can get an idea of like what different builders are doing. So what's your conversion average on lead to appointment?
Our lead to appointment conversion is about 27%, so 25 to 30%. Okay. And then our appointment to sale is about 25%.
Okay.
And then we contribute about 60% to the overall division sales.
Wow, 60%. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow. So out of those 500 something sales that you guys had, the online sales program contributed 60%.
Hmm.
Wow, that's amazing. Well, wanted to, before we kind of hop into what has made you so successful in such a short period of time, because you really came into this role. What did you do before coming into the online sales role?
So prior to this, I worked for a new home shop company for 6 years, and we shopped on-site and online sales consultants across the country. I was the regional supervisor for the Central U.S., so with a particular emphasis on Texas. So I'm very familiar with builder presentations
Yeah.
all over Texas. I did review and score on-site and online sales presentations, and I scored all the phone shops that we did. So I've
Wow.
literally listened to thousands of phone conversations with online sales specialists. And
Wow.
yeah,
Okay, so this is really interesting because I knew that you did that, but I didn't really think about that when we were going to talk today. So, is there anything that stood out to you when you would listen to online sales specialists that you were like, wow, like that's something that they could improve on?
it's really the little things that are kind of hard to teach. Everything from answering the phone when it rings, you'd be surprised how many times we would call just to like set up a shop or call to do an online shop, and people just didn't answer the phone. And we'd have to try 2 or 3 times
Yeah.
before we got somebody to answer. Very, very rarely did we get a call back. So
Yeah.
that always stood out to me a lot.
Yes, people listening, answer your phone, right? That's the first step.
Right.
So that probably that was an interesting perspective you had then coming into this role. How did that help you?
Well, even though I wasn't necessarily the shopper on the phone shops, when you score on the scorecard, you're
Yeah.
doing it through the eyes of the buyer. So when you're in that role, it definitely helps you to see how things come across. And,
Yeah.
I could identify with how I felt, talking to this person and how they phrased questions and, how they made me feel. So I've just heard, a wide range of things that, could be done better to things that were just done with excellence. A lot of builders have customized scorecards with different expectations, but they're all very similar, really. So even
Yeah.
though I am new to the role, I had a lot of training and
Yeah.
exposure coming into this.
Yeah. Now, when you went into this role as the online sales specialist, was it already an existing role for your organization, or did you start this from scratch?
It was an existing role.
Okay.
And one thing I love about MI Homes, they have a really strong online sales program. We have excellent oversight from corporate, and I feel very, very supported in this role. I felt very supported coming
Yeah.
in, both from the division and at a corporate level. We have a great camaraderie amongst all of the ISMs in the country.
Yeah.
So that has helped a lot.
That's so important. So, what would you say, almost 2 years in, you're a national winner. Is there anything that comes top of mind that you would attribute to your success? Whether it be a system that you use, processes, training, tools, anything that you would attribute that success to?
I think one of my top priorities when I got here was building relationships with my team, because I knew coming in that I had I had a lot of knowledge about what the role entailed, but I was still, to them, I was new and
Yeah.
inexperienced. And so I worked really hard to the best of my ability to just build relationships, just like trust and communication are so important in our personal relationships.
Yeah.
They're important in our professional relationships too.
Yeah.
So I meet every week with our sales management team and our marketing team. We meet
Okay.
together weekly, and we talk about everything from community needs, upcoming events, recent victories, etc. Everyone has a voice. We all listen to one another's input. We trust one another's input. And we always walk away together with shared goals for the week and for the month. And I really think that like-mindedness has played a significant role in our success
Yeah.
as a division.
Yeah. That's really a good point that you make is even though you had experience, you were new to MI, you were new to this position, you were new to your salespeople. So it took a while to kind of build that street cred with them.
Right. Right.
I noticed you do a lot of videos from your model homes. How often are you going out into the field and, kind of interacting with your on-site team?
I'm definitely in the field once a week, typically on Thursdays, and then sometimes on Fridays. Sometimes we have different things going on, realtor events or different events, but always at least once a week I'm in the field.
Now, are you involved? Do you go to like all the realtor events as the online sales specialist? Talk a little bit about like what's your realtor interaction like?
I go to most of the realtor events. Sometimes I don't, go for different reasons.
Right.
One of the things that I think is very important is keeping our priorities, in line and keeping the main thing the main thing.
Yeah.
So that, as much as we want to reach out to our realtors and engage with them, and they are a huge, huge part of what we do. And I do work very hard to build relationships with them. But when I do, if I get to where I'm attending too many events and I'm being pulled away too much from the phone and the computer, then I do see that my conversion starts to suffer.
Yeah, you feel it. That's a great point because, sometimes we, like you said, we get pulled. It's exciting to like, oh yeah, I'm going to go to this event or I'm going to go do this other cool thing. And we lose sight of our first priorities. So that is definitely great advice. I know I felt like that when I was an online sales specialist. And with you managing 375 to 400 leads a month, that is a lot to keep up with, right? And like you said, answering the phone and doing your follow-up and everything. So that's great advice. Like nothing happens until your first priorities are taken care of for sure.
Right. I do like being at events and grand openings and being in the community it does kind of break it up. It breaks up the monotony.
Yeah.
So it does refresh me and I enjoy it very much. So when I do go to realtor events, I do kind of balance between kind of going back into the back office and, taking calls or kind of, catching up on some things and then going out and helping, for a few minutes.
So, tough question. Don't kill me that I'm asking you this, but when you are at an event like that, has anybody, whether it be realtor or anybody else in the industry, come up to you and said, so what is it that you do exactly? And do you have a prepared, okay. I
don't think anybody's asked me that.
Okay.
I don't think so. I can't remember. Okay. Not being asked in person.
Okay. That's one thing that I can remember, like, a realtor, like at an event, coming up to me and like, so what is it that you do? Because I wasn't on site, and it's like, what is it that you do exactly? And so those of you listening, if anybody asks you that, you need to be prepared with a great, response that is not like, oh yeah, I manage leads and answer the phone and set appointments. Remember, you are so much more than that, right? So, oh, glad you asked. I'm the new home specialist with Happy Acres Builders. And the cool thing is I work with all of our communities and on-site salespeople. I have the first information available. So that's how I can help you, Mrs. Realtor. So definitely have that ready. I can remember being put on the spot like, oh, well, I set appointments.
Yeah, I think the role, I think it's so much, it's growing all the time. So I think realtors have a much greater understanding now of who we are.
Yeah.
versus probably even, 4 or 5 years ago. So I do
Totally.
get asked the question on the phone, sometimes they'll say, well, so are you on site, or
Yeah.
are you the salesperson, or, oh, are you just the internet girl? I get things like that. So I
Don't
love
you
those.
just love that
I
question?
do. I love it because I
Yeah.
have all my responses in my
Yeah.
arsenal.
Is that really you on the website? Yes,
Yeah,
it
they'll
is.
say, are you at such and such community? And then I'll say, well, I'm actually not there today, um, which is the truth. So
Yeah.
it kind of builds credibility where,
Yeah.
I've, you know, communicated that I am there sometimes. And then I can, as soon as they start to ask me something about the community, I can say, I was actually out there, week before
Yes.
last, and I actually toured that home. It's beautiful,
Yeah.
so, I'm not just sitting at a desk answering the phone.
Wouldn't you say that, especially when you're new and you're learning, all of your different communities, which by the way, how many communities do you have that you're currently, involved in?
17.
17, right? So keeping up with 17 different communities and everything that's happening out there, wouldn't you say that that's like really important as the online salesperson to like put your eyes on the model home and on the
Very.
community? Yeah.
I think it's very important because it's very easy over the phone to come across competent and with confidence when
Yes.
you have been out there and you know what you're talking about. And that comes across on the phone. People can tell if you're confident in what you're saying. And as soon as they trust you and they trust that what you're telling them is the truth.
Yeah.
And if I don't know the answer to something, I'm honest. I just say, I don't have that information right in front of me, but would it be okay if I give you a call back in about 10
Yeah.
minutes and I'll get that information? And so, but that's one thing I tell everyone coming into this role now, before you even start, learn your communities, you know, learn the highlights, know
Yeah.
what school districts you're in, what's the tax rate, what's the HOA,
Yeah.
what county, what are the floor plans, what's the price range, familiarize yourself with inventory homes the best that you can, because it's very, very helpful to know and not have to look things up.
Yeah, for sure. So what else contributes to your success, would you say? Anything else top of mind?
Other than just, I think, like I said, your priorities. I think incoming calls are probably, I would say, the top priority, because a missed call is a missed opportunity. And you're not going to get every call. I don't catch, you know, anywhere close to all my calls. But I think a missed opportunity is a missed appointment and possibly a missed sale. But if we return the call promptly, it's actually a win because people really appreciate it. They're not used
Yeah.
to it. And now they trust you, and they feel like you do care and you really are trying to help them. And so I think calling people back promptly is really important. You don't want to let too much time go by.
Yeah.
And then outbound calls, I try to schedule, about an hour a day I try to devote to outbound calls. And then obviously just managing web leads. So, and follow up, obviously, follow up is very important.
Right.
One of the other things I did when I worked for the shop company was I monitored all of the follow up emails that came in from online and on site specialists. So I've seen a lot of that, and I spend a lot of time kind of always working on that and trying to improve
Okay.
it and tweak it. It's kind of one of my side projects. I have
Yeah.
to kind of put it on my calendar and get to it when I can without sacrificing, managing my leads, for the day.
Yeah.
But I do try to like work on, I change up my verbiage sometimes. Sometimes I just do a refresh on all my templates, and I just change the way that I say something, change the way I phrase a question, maybe add more content, maybe take out some content, just to see if I get more engagement
Okay.
by saying things a different way.
That's awesome. That's definitely some great advice. Just because you have a process in place doesn't mean it's just set it and forget it. Like constantly refreshing. Are there any tips you can give anybody for? I had somebody ask me this the other day about like what's a great first email that goes out the door. Any tips that you could give, like that you've seen work really well for you?
Well, I always do a video in the first email that goes out.
Okay.
And going back to my days with the shop company, in 6 years of monitoring email follow-up from online and on-site sales specialists, I only got one video email in 6 years. And I still remember what her name was, what builder she worked for, where she was.
Yeah.
I remember everything about the video, and it just stood out to me so much because it was different and unique and personal. So I try to do as many videos as I can in my emails because I think it just adds a personalized touch, and it helps create that personal connection. Personal connections build trust, and trust builds relationships.
I
So
love that.
when I've spoken to somebody on the phone, then I let them know I'm going to follow up with an email, and I say there's going to be a little video in the email that kind of explains what we've talked about. And then you're not always going to get the appointment the first time you talk to somebody, but once I've talked to them and kind of built a rapport with them, then they get an email from me as promised. And, you know, maybe they see the video, maybe they don't watch it, they just see my face. But I actually have a very high rate of leads who call me back either that day or the next day. They come back to me and say, okay, I'm ready to schedule that appointment. And I really think it's just that personalized, you know, that extra personalized touch that makes people feel like they have a friend in me, and, you know, I know them, I know what we've talked about, and I'm ready to help them.
Love it. Love it, love it, love it. You heard it from award winner Shantae. You got to do video email. Even if you don't like it, you got to do it because it really is unique and it's different. And you heard it from her. All the shops she did, nobody did it. So that is definitely some great advice. Thank you for that. Which video email platform do you use?
I use BombBomb.
BombBomb. Okay, BombBomb. We love BombBomb. Okay, so let's switch gears a little bit, and I've got some rapid fire questions for you. We're gonna get a little personal. First thing I want to ask you is, how did it feel when they called your name because I was there. It was amazing. It was magical. When they called your name and said that you had won, like, what was that like?
It was very surreal because I had been coming to the Nationals for several years and, you know, working, you know, in a completely different role. And honestly, 2 or 3 years ago when I attended the awards show, I never dreamed that I would go into this, you know, into this field. I never ever would have dreamed that I would be, you know, a finalist and win that award. So it was one of the best moments of my life. It was wonderful.
Well, it was awesome for me too to see you win. It was so great.
Thank you.
Yeah. What would you say is your favorite thing about being an online sales specialist?
I actually really like talking on the phone. So I do like talking to people and really trying to help them. I can tell a difference when I'm just trying to get through the questions and I'm kind of in a hurry, versus when I'm really just taking the time to really listen to them and really trying to help them. And I really like it when I kind of come down from, you know, just going down the list of questions and I just try to have a conversation and help people. I also really love the flexibility of being able to be home on the weekends. So I knew going into this that I would have to work, you know, weekends. So I did want to wait till my kids were a little older. My hat's off to anyone doing this job with younger children who are, you know, more needy.
Toddlers.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think I could have done it. You know, I definitely couldn't have done it the way that I do it today when mine were little. But I love being able to be home sometimes. So that's important to me, and it does help me to kind of have that extra time to exercise and, you know, do the other things that are important to me.
Yeah, absolutely. What would you say is your biggest challenge in your role?
Probably what most people would say, just, you know, pulling away from work sometimes and putting it aside. And because you have a bottomless bucket of leads, right? And as time goes on, you just, you know, you could spend 24 hours at your computer and still not feel like you know, touched everything that you wanted to. So it's just, it's just a matter of making myself step away and really trying to mentally disengage from it. My team, they're always like, you're at the beach on vacation. Stop calling us, stop working. And I'm like, but I'm at the beach and I'm working. Like, how great is this? So,
yeah, for sure.
yeah.
I always say this, it's like, it's a blessing and a curse at the same time. It's like,
Right. Absolutely.
it's like, it's amazing because you can do this job from anywhere. The beach,
Right.
I mean, your kids' games, I mean, you could do it from anywhere. But it's also, you can do it from anywhere. And
Right. Exactly.
do you have, I know you said you try to force yourself to like, do you have like a hard boundary time where you're like, okay, I turn my phone off at this time every night? Do you set that in place?
I do. I turn my phone off about 6:30. So our business
Okay.
hours are 10 to 6. So at 6:30, I do shut my phone off. I actually turn it off for the night so that
Perfect.
I'm not tempted if I hear it vibrating and then I always step away from my computer. I try to by 7. And
Okay.
then, like I said, I have a daughter in college who wants to call me and talk to me about her day. And so I tell her I'm available between 7 and 7. So she's like, 7 to 7. So I'm like, you can call me before 7 o'clock in the morning or you can call me after 7 o'clock at night. So I talk to her at night whenever I'm cleaning up the kitchen and,
Is
doing,
this her first year in college?
it's her first year away at college.
First year
Yes.
away at college. Okay. I'm getting ready to experience that. So I will call you for some advice on daughters going away to college for their first time. Because
It has been, yeah, it's been an experience.
oh gosh. Okay. Well, we'll talk. That's opt episode 20. We'll talk about that.
Okay.
How do you prevent burnout with everything that you have going on, being a mom, 400 leads a month, all this, what is your like go-to way to recharge your battery?
I love to exercise and I love yoga. So
Yeah.
that is probably the best thing that I do for myself. And after I get done, I come home and I'm so glad that I took the time to do it. And there's days that I get into my work and then I miss my class and then I'm frustrated at myself. And I'm like, you could have stopped 45 minutes ago.
Yeah.
It would have been there when you got back,
Yeah.
so that's probably the biggest way. And then taking my days off. And, sometimes I'll get up on my day off and I'll go, oh, I'm just going to do one thing. And then I look up and I've been working for 2 hours and, you just can't do that to yourself. And
Right.
you have to trust the people that are,
Yeah.
that are there to give you the time off. And our team has done a fantastic job. I mean, our conversion has been the same, whether
Nice.
they're managing the phone for the day or I am. So
That's great. That's a good point because sometimes we tend to be a little bit of control freaks, I feel like, in this role, and it's like, oh, nobody can do it as good as me, and so we hold. I mean, I know that's how I felt. Have you ever did you ever feel like that? Like nobody, I am the best at this, and I don't. Somebody else taking over my stuff. I don't know how it's going to go, but like you said, your time, your quality time off outweighs, somebody picking up, the slack for you on your days off. Like it's just invaluable.
definitely. And I do come back after having 2 days off totally refreshed. I'm excited to work. I'm
Yeah.
excited to do everything that I have, coming up over the next few days. And, when I first started, I think I did feel like I was responsible for
Yeah.
everything that happened. And, I've just learned to let go of that a little bit. And if you train people well and, you teach them and you show them, and you kind of talk through your mindset. And
Right.
I set, with the people that helped me, I sat with them, several days and, we practiced. And so I've just learned to, trust them and let them learn and grow. And it's okay. We all make mistakes
Right.
we can always do things better. So we're just constantly talking about, kind of where we're at and, what goals we want to set next week. And
That's awesome. And you said you have 2 people that are working with you now?
Right now we have two.
Two people.
And then
Okay.
we really would like to cross train, one or two more team members because
Okay.
you just never know. You never know over Christmas break. I had vacation time, and then the girl that covers for me, she got the flu. And luckily, we had one other person who was cross trained who was able to step in and fill in for almost the whole week leading up to Christmas. And that was such a blessing. And thank goodness we had that. But that's something we're really trying to focus on this year is just making sure that, we have ample coverage when we need it.
Such great advice. You have to have those backup plans in place because people do get sick and things happen,
Right.
and you have to be prepared to kind of manage that. Okay, back to the future. If you could go back in time to your brand new online sales self 2 years ago, what advice would you give somebody just starting out?
I would just say, you're going to make mistakes. It's a learning process and you're always going to be learning and growing, and just listen to your leaders and let them, encourage you and support you and teach you new things and new ways to look at it. And I would say, just like I said earlier, know your content and do your very best to study and memorize and know everything you can about your communities and your floor plans.
That is such great advice because you mentioned this earlier. Knowledge is confidence, right? So
Right.
being able to confidently talk about those things. And I feel like it's now more important than ever because I feel like people want more information up front before they're going to make that decision to come out. And so if the online sales side isn't fully, up to speed on as much as we can be, that limits, us on the front end. Like we have to be, we have to be really knowledgeable about what's happening on site and our floor plans and our pricing and school districts and all of those things that are important to people that we're talking to. So that is such great advice. Okay, fun question. What are you currently watching on Netflix?
I don't watch TV at all,
What?
actually. I don't.
Is there a reason why?
I just have never been a TV person. By the time I work all day and get to the gym and, have a little bit of time with my family in the evenings, if I have any extra time before I'm ready to go to bed, I like to read. So I'm just not a TV person, but no, I have nothing against it. There's not a lot out there on TV that interests me.
Yeah, you're like, no time for that. Okay, so exercise, reading. How many times a week do you exercise?
I try to exercise, 6 days a week if I can.
That's
So,
awesome.
but sometimes I just try to balance it. So I don't always get, I like to run and I like to do yoga. And I like to do other types of classes. I love PIO, but those classes are hard to find anymore. So I shoot for 6, I might make it 4 or 5 sometimes.
And I have to go back to this because I know I've heard you mention this before. Are you a grandmother?
I am.
That's crazy.
I'm a Gigi.
Oh my gosh, you're a Gigi.
I'm Gigi.
Oh my gosh. I'm sure people ask you, people probably can't believe that you're a grandmother. You look so young.
I am a grandmother. Yes, he's almost 2 years old.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome. Well, thank you so, so much for being our special guest today on Opt. If you love Shantae like we do, smash her some hearts, say hello. Definitely check her out she's got lots of cool videos on Facebook, on the MI, what Facebook page could they go to, Shantae, to see some of your stuff? I know I've seen it on there.
I have them on my personal Facebook page and then our MI Facebook page also.
Yeah, definitely check her out. She's amazing. And you could learn a lot from her. Again, she's a award winner, 2020 Online Sales Counselor of the Year, National Award winner. And also make sure you check out doyouconvert.com. We have tons of blog articles, information to keep you up to date out there on all the latest and greatest things. We have, our marketing team has a podcast called Market Proof Marketing. You definitely should check that out as well.
Yes.
Yes. So thank you so much for tuning in to Opt, and we will see you next time.